Hey, I'm Bob. I've been totally blind since birth and I'm into He-Man. We're talking about episode 9 of the Netflix TV show He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We're on Cry Havoc, part 1 of 2. Spoilers ahead, so watch the episode before listening to my thoughts, and now we're getting into this thing. So when I saw this for the first time in 2021, I remember thinking, where the heck did Dolus come from? We hadn't seen this guy since he was at Skeletor's feet. I remember thinking, did I miss something in a previous episode? When did this guy break out of Snake Mountain? And I love how off kilter that scene feels because you don't hear a peep about this guy, sans maybe a line or so from one of the two bodyguards in a previous episode. But here he is in the palace, and of course, he doesn't have a will of his own. And I'm sure we all figured that out right away. And Randor being Randor, a nice-ish guy sometimes, I like how he does give the guy a second chance. I mean, Dolus was telling him, hey, I was kidnapped and framed by your brother, and now I'm out. We need to stop this guy. We need all the firepower we can get. So I like how Randor just gives him control of the Red Legion. He's got this big fleet of ships he's going to go to Snake Mountain with and rain pain, I guess, on Skeletor. So speaking of Snake Mountain, this episode takes place mostly in and around Snake Mountain, and I just love this location in any and all Masters of the Universe incarnations. Snake Mountain is just a really cool bad guy fortress. I would say, according to 90s Kid Me, it would have probably rivaled the Technodrome in terms of how sinister and how cool the atmosphere of the place is. So the main protagonists are flying into the Fright Zone, and I'd forgotten to mention at the end of the last commentary that that was, of course, Hordak's base of operations. And I meant to mention hoping that we get to see the Horde eventually in the show. I don't know if they can do that with the rights, and I don't know who owns what in terms of He-Man and She-Ra, but I'd love to see, these two franchises cross and, the Dark Masters versus the Horde. So getting the Fright Zone mentioned in this incarnation was really, really awesome. And to have Snake Mountain a part of the Fright Zone is even more interesting. So I like that bit of history that Cringer drops on the kids as they're approaching Snake Mountain. He says it's the fortress of the Empire of Hiss. So this is our first actual mention of King Hiss, the leader of the Snake Men here. I did catch this reference when seeing the episode for the first time. I don't know how the other Snake Men references went over my head. I think it was, like I said in other commentaries, all the visual stuff I've been hit with since getting to see this show, the way it was meant to be seen with all the descriptive audio tracks turned on. But yeah, I did catch this reference seeing the episode the first time in 2021. So then after the intro rocks, I like that scene with Crass. We get to see her fighting the Poacher Bots. And of course, we get to see Orko showing up. He's been sent by Eldris to get her to come back because the Masters are going to need all the help they can get. And then we get to see more of Snake Mountain. I like that scene where Duncan was eaten by a Havoc slime monster. I don't know what the heck these things are made of. I guess pure Havoc slime. I'm not sure how this stuff is generated. I don't know if this is some byproduct of the Empire of Hiss or if it's just pure slime, pure Havoc slime. I'd love to know the origins of this green stuff that we've been seeing in the pit inside Snake Mountain, what it is, where it came from. I don't know why I'm so fixated on the bad guy science of things. It's a pretty unhealthy fixation in terms of what I'm interested in terms of He-Man, but what are you going to do? So yeah, we get to see the giant snake head dripping slime, and Skeletor's talking to everybody through a microphone, and of course my mind flashes back to the old Snake Mountain playset because that had a microphone that you could talk into, and I guess the kids don't see Skeletor, they just hear him, but they're approaching that snake head, you're hearing a voice over the microphone, and yeah, of course my mind goes back to the old toy. I didn't own it. I I think I had a friend or two, and their siblings, their older siblings, gave them Snake Mountain to play with in the very, very early 90s when we were all like 6, 7 years old. I was very young when even the New Adventures of He-Man was coming out, but I do remember that microphone part of the play set, though, where you could make the snakehead talk. And of course, all the masters master up, and they actually go inside. I love that bit with Skeletor on the microphone, though. He's fussing about the feedback and how, it's a cursed ancient technology, and he's just not having an easy time making himself understood. So as they approach the sacrificial chamber, we do get to hear about that. And Skeletor, he comes out and he lets everybody know, yeah, this was a chamber where many, many sacrifices were made. And putting that in the kids show, I think it's pretty cool. We get to see just a bit of the darkness that the Snake Men might have been into when they were ruling over ancient Eternia. And of course, we finally get to see Skeletor's minions transform into who we've always known them to be, and how fitting for this penultimate episode in season 1. So He-Man he's letting Skeletor know they're going to stop whatever weapon he's building, but he lets everybody know that his minions are the weapon, because of course their weapons have all been imbued with Havoc, and they all transform. So Evelyn transforms into Evelyn finally, and we get to see Cronus transforming into Trapjaw. I wonder if he looks a bit more monstrous than he usually does. I like those metal teeth he's got, and of course he's got to have the robotic arm as well. And we get to see Rakaz transforming into Beastman. I think his transformation is probably my favorite, because you get to see the darkness inside this character just rip its way out. And, you get to see the hand of Beastman coming out of the chest of Rakaz. And then, his monster form just pulls itself out of the husk of this character, and then he crushes it under his feet, I think, in terms of what the descriptive audio track describes. So what a really trippy yet interesting transformation there. And so then we get this big fight scene. You've got Masters versus Dark Masters. So you got He-Man going up against Skeletor. You've got Battle Cat going up against Beastman. You've got Sorceress versus Evelyn. And then you have Man-at-Arms versus Trapjaw. And it's been something I've been wanting to see for most of season 1. And we get more interesting super moves. So we get to see Skeletor's Havoc Strike, which counters He-Man's Lightning Strike. I want a fighting game with all these characters in it now, like from NetherRealm Studios or something, with a ton of characters and stages and interactable environments. This episode just really made me want that. So we get to see Beastman performing his Necro Echo. We get to see Evil Lyn performing her Wings of Horikoth. I'm not sure who Horikoth is, and I'm wondering if that bat looks kind of similar to the Horde logo, that bat that they use. I don't know. I'm just really wanting to see the Horde and Hordak showing up at some point in this incarnation. I love those guys. And we get to see Sorceress and her Wings of Zor, so she's doing the move with the Falcon there. And Duncan does his speed build with his mace. That move reminded me quite a lot of the character of Aganos in Killer Instinct, the game on Xbox, because he can build all those walls that the opponent can be trapped inside. So that was a really cool move, though. Now I want to play Killer Instinct, too. And, of course, the fight ends with Skeletor reiterating the fact that the power of Grayskull is yesterday's news. He is into this Havoc fad now, and so he uses these Havoc chains that shoot out of his scepter, and he breaks the power sword in half, so everyone on the side of Grayskull, they lose their powers. And I remember seeing it for the first time and, thinking, oh my God, they broke the sword. And then I remember reading this little audiobook in the 90s called The Sword of Skeletor, and I think the power sword was broken into two halves in that as well. And so I thought of that as well. And yeah, the episode ends with everybody being lowered into the Do we call it a slime pit? It really reminds me of the old slime pit playset. But I mean, Snake Mountain has a pit full of goo as well. I'd love to know the origins of this stuff and what it is. And Skeletor's telling them that they can either become his dark masters and serve him or drown. And, we also see Ram Mam losing her powers, and all things look dark. We see, of course, Dola showing up before everyone is lowered into the pit of Havoc slime or whatever it is. And yeah, of course he's on Skeletor's side, and all of the pilots of the ships are enchanted, and now he's got his invasion force, so he can go take the throne right out from under his brother's nose. So what a great episode this was. I don't know how many times I've mentioned the coolness of Snake Mountain, but boy, I was all over this episode when I first watched it. I love the fight scene. I loved all of the really cool super moves, and I really want a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe fighting game with a truckload of good and bad guys and stages now. Cannot wait to talk about Cry Havoc Part 2 next time. So be here for that, and have a great day.